Hello and welcome to my blog channel. I am Adam Clarke and I've wanted to do a video response to CosmicSkeptic's video on why free will doesn't exist for a while now. So here goes. The format of this video is going to be specific audio clips taken from the original and my responses to particular points. I want to take audio clips directly to avoid any confusion about the specific points I'm addressing. So I feel in the interests of honesty that I need to state my own position as an agnostic on free will, which I explain in my own videos linked in the description. Seems contradictory, but I acknowledge that determinists have a strong case and also show in my own videos how meaning in one's life and even free will of a kind does exist even in a fully determined universe. So check those out to see exactly what I'm talking about. So with all of that out the way, let's get to it.
Free will is the ability to have acted differently. And what I mean by this is that if we were to wind back the clock in any situation, it was completely within the realm of possibility for you to have acted differently to the way that you actually did.
So straight off the bat, I dispute Alex's definition of free will, though I appreciate definitions can be difficult. However, I've really just got to go with what Alex gives us here. I'm confident that not many people would agree with this definition. Free will isn't often thought of as a retrospective process, but rather an in-the-moment phenomenon. Free will is not the ability to have acted differently from the way that you've already acted, but is actually the ability to act in potential ways in a given moment. So a quick Wikipedia search states that, quote, free will is the capacity for agents to choose between different possible courses of action unimpeded, end quote. But just before you hang me from the hard arm for referencing Wikipedia, this was just a general taster. The point is that it agrees with the spirit of my definition more so than Alex's. Turning to a more reliable source, perhaps the online Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, we get this. Quote, when an agent exercises free will over her choices and actions are up to her. But up to her in what sense? Two common and compatible answers are 1. Up to her in the sense that she is able to choose otherwise, or at minimum that she is able not to choose or act as she does. And secondly, up to her in the sense that she is the source of her action, end quote. Since exercising free will is a concurrent process, not a retroactive one, it appears that Stanford's first answer is more reflective of what individuals actually experience when they describe exercising their free will. Even the second definition is prima facie correct, as if you're not the source of your own action, it's kind of difficult to know who is. So later, Alex makes an interesting point about how we can't control our wants, but free will is active and in the moment, and while being based on certain wants or emotions, is distinct from them. Even if we accept that the universe, and by extension you and your choices, are fully determined, in that moment before the choice is made, it's hard to suggest that we have anything other than choice, given that A, all possible choices or acts are potentials at that time, and that B, every active individual who has ever lived pretty much has the experience of deliberatively choosing to act one way or another in the moment. Of course, no one would suggest that they can change any act already taken. Of course not. With free will, we're describing a present and active process, so Alex is right that he couldn't have said anything other than good morning at the beginning of his video, so he couldn't have said something like bonjour as he suggests. It's in the past, any more than I could have said anything other than hello and welcome in mine. Free will simply just doesn't apply here. Free will does apply to deliberating future acts. In this very moment, I'm writing this sentence in the script that accompanies this video. I can stop and deliberate about what I want to say. balderdash or bandana or any other crazy stuff. Now, hours after writing and actually recording, I can't. It's in the past. Free will doesn't apply. In that particular moment, though, balderdash and bandana were merely potential words or acts that I could have used. Now, free will doesn't apply. At the time, before the decision, of course it did. So now I've elaborated more on what free will is. Alex's definition is simply out of place.
The idea is that you are in control of your actions, and any decisions that you make are determined only by your own conscious self.
So this is again an odd characterization of free will. No one would reasonably suggest that all our decisions are solely determined by our conscious selves. Of course, our decisions are causally influenced by a myriad of other factors, many unconscious, which actually touches on another point. I find it strange how determinists like Alex and Sam Harris, for example, like to splice the individual into neat conscious and subconscious selves. The self, or I, within us all, is a notoriously slippery concept. It's quite hard in its own right to define and pin down, but I'll put myself out on a limb here and play to the crowd and suggest that most people would not consider only their conscious mind as themselves and that alone. I think memories, subconscious feelings, desires and so on are all obviously going to be an integral part of what most individuals would call the I within them. This moves us onto the whole idea of want-self segregation we see in the next few minutes, in which Alex explains that we can't determine what we want. It's true, but it's a strange statement given in a very real sense you are that want, and you are the composite of your conscious, subconscious and bodily experience, which includes wants, desires and action. This may be controversial philosophically, but I think we would be hard pressed to find anyone who doesn't feel similarly.
There are only two reasons, none more in any circumstances, for which you will ever do anything. In fact, it's impossible for you to ever do anything for any reason other than one of these two. And those two reasons are because you want to, or because you're forced to.
Yes, that's strictly true, but that's precisely descriptive of free will. Most people thinking about free will would not separate themselves from a fundamental part of something that is themselves. Desires, emotions, wants are an integral and inseparable part of the human experience. They're not some alien component that's attached to us. Yeah, we only willingly do stuff because we want to, but want is a synonym of will, and as we've already deduced, when that will is set within its natural concurrent setting, it acts. What we can be pretty sure of is that though we can't control who we are, we nonetheless are. No one interested in free will would seriously suggest that we somehow conjured ourselves into existence, but it's not so much of a stretch to suggest we have the obvious capacity to decide consciously and deliberatively which wants to act upon in any given moment.
It's more accurate to say, rather than you can do whatever you want, that you can only do what you want.
Again, descriptively, yes, this is true, but that's the point. I hate to sound repetitive, so I'm not going to delay too long by saying we are, in a very real sense, synonymous with our wants. Another point I'd like to make before I finish up, as I think I've made enough for this short video, is that another deep, realistic observation of an average individual would reveal not just dichotomies of wants, so you're going to have whole webs of wants, complicated interrelationships affecting how a person chooses to act. Normal experience won't tend to have one or two wants, but many. Hence an in-the-moment deliberation that leads to conscious action based on one of those wants. An accurate description of what most folk mean by free will. So I'll leave it there. I don't want this video to carry on for too long. I hope I've provided some food for thought on free will and a decent response to some of Alex's points in what is a very well thought out video, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I've watched several times now. Thank you to Alex for uploading this video, and thank you for your kind attention. This is Adam signing out once again. See you soon.